From its launch in the late 1980s to this day, the TOS-1 remains one of the most lethal weapons within Russia's arsenal. The multiple rocket launcher can shatter enemy fortifications along a vast area and within a short range, while mounted on a T-72 tank chassis or other lightly armored vehicles. This devastating weapon was kept a secret from its initial conception in the 1970s to its deployment many years later. But as recently as late 2020, the TOS-1 was still in service and being upgraded into a much more modern thermobaric weapon. During the Cold War, the United States and the Soviet Union got interested in the mechanics of fuel-air explosives, or FAEs. These lethal pieces of artillery were two-charge weapons. A flammable gas cloud would first disperse and then ignite, provoking a blast that expanded into a wide radius. It's accurate to say that FAEs detonated the air, a tactic that could cause a lot of harm to the enemy in enclosed spaces and reinforced structures like bunkers or tunnels. These weapons were used by the US military in the Vietnam War, inspiring the Soviet Union to start a program of their own. The concept for the TOS-1 originated in the late 1970s, but wasn't developed until the early 1980s. The idea consisted of a heavy, short-range multiple rocket launcher with both incendiary and thermobaric or FAE rockets. The design was similar to other multiple rocket launcher systems, but this one could fire several types of rockets within a shorter range. The Russian TOS-1 is a 220mm 30 or 24-barrel multiple rocket launcher and thermobaric weapon mounted on a T-72 tank chassis, powered by the V-84-1 diesel engine, capable of 840 horsepower. It's equipped with a self-entrenching blade and armor protection similar to that of the T-72. The weapon was created at the Omsk Transmas Design Bureau in Omsk, and its combat system includes a combat vehicle, the rockets, and a TZM loading vehicle, in addition to the T-72 main chassis. The TZM transports and reloads the rockets employing a crane. The TOS-1 was nicknamed Burantino due to its prominent nose and the Russian retelling of Pinocchio. And it is not assigned to the artillery units of the Russian armed forces, but is part of the Russian nuclear, biological, and chemical protection troops. The weapon's protruding launcher unit can unleash a full salvo in 15 seconds and cover an area of 200 by 400 meters, while the tank can stop and fire within 90 seconds at a visible target. A robust piece of machinery, the TOS-1 was designed to engage enemies ranging from military personnel to light armored vehicles or buildings, and it is also used to clear fortified constructions. Although its maximum firing range is 3.5 kilometers, the weapon is used as a fire support platform for infantry and heavy armor. It acts within the combat order of infantry and tanks, with the primary purpose of providing direct fire support. The weapon's crew consists of a commander, a gunner, and a driver, and the weapon is fitted with a modern fire control system that provides firing procedures and guidance to avoid exposing them to enemy fire, as it is controlled from the inside. A human target can perish from overpressure and combustion, damage to internal organs from the blast, or suffocation within the vacuumed atmosphere, depending on the proximity to the detonation. Victims can also suffer from ruptured eardrums, blindness, or loss of consciousness, making the weapon one of the most dreadful examples of modern warfare. The TOS-1 was first used in combat in Panjshir Valley as part of the Soviet occupation of Afghanistan. It then played a role in the Second Chechen War in 1999 during the Battle of Grozny, after the Russian Federation was reorganized. The FAEs were used against urban settings there, costing innumerable civilian lives. In 2001, the Burantino was succeeded by the Blazing Sun TOS-1A Saint-Sepyok. Its range was vastly expanded from 3.5 to 6 kilometers, and it had longer launching tubes and a renewed chassis. In addition, the number of launching tubes was reduced from 30 to 24. The rockets used by this version include the NURS MO-10104, which is 10 feet 10 inches long and weighs 381 pounds, and the MO-10104M, which is 12 feet 2 inches long and weighs 478 pounds. The system was modernized again in 2016 with active protection and a new engine, along with several other improvements, and was finally delivered in 2018. Even though the use of this class of weapon is somewhat limited, many countries across Asia have purchased and added it to their arsenals. TOS-1As were used by the Iraqi army against the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant militants between 2014 and 2017, including in the recapture of Jurf al-Sakar from ISIL forces in 2014 and that of the city of Mosul in 2017. These areas were known to be devoid of civilians. Similarly, the Syrian military deployed them during the Syrian civil war to fight anti-government forces. From 2015 to 2018, the Syrian army used the flamethrower on rebel forces and terrorists. The Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe also reported in 2015 that a TOS-1 was sighted in eastern Ukraine in a rebel training area. Many other countries employ the TOS-1, including Algeria, Armenia, Kazakhstan, Saudi Arabia, and Azerbaijan, which used it against the Nagorno-Karabakh separatists in 2016 and as recently as September of 2020. Unlike many nations that have ceased to use flamethrowers as a combat weapon, Russia has not. In reality, Moscow has doubled down on its efforts to develop more powerful armament. The Russian military announced in 2021 that a new version of the rocket, the TOS-2 Flamethrower, is currently undergoing testing. A derivative of the TOS-1A, the Flamethrower features improved advances. Unlike its predecessors, a new flamethrower is mounted on a wheeled chassis on top of the Ural truck, allowing increased carrying and cross-country capability. It is said to resemble the legendary BM-13 multiple rocket launcher from World War II, known as the Katyusha by the Soviets and Stalin's organ by the Germans. The Russian Defense Ministry also explained that the new model has an outfitted crane and no longer needs a transporter loader vehicle, and added that its modern electronic warfare system protects it from precision weapons. Though it is less armored than older versions, its potential to crush the enemy is more significant. With an increased range, in addition to fully automated sighting, firing, and fire control systems, the TOS-2 has the potential to seamlessly make its way through the 21st century. Lieutenant General Igor Kirillov, chief of Russia's Chemical, Biological, and Radiation Protection Forces, expressed that, quote, "Heavy flamethrower TOS-2 is one of the newest weapons for the RCBD, Radiological, Chemical, and Biological Defense Troops." During test runs at the Kavkaz 2020 military drills in September of 2020 at the Kapustin Yar in the Astrakhan region, the improved system destroyed a mock advance of armored ranks with unguided ordnance. The guest of honor at the main drill stage was Russian Federation President Vladimir Putin. Since the early spring of 2022, the key Ukrainian city of Rubizhne has been holding out against Russian attackers using many weapons in unconventional ways, one of which is the UR-77 self-propelled mine-clearing Meteorit. The weapon is also popularly known as the Zmy Gorenich, Russian for serpent or dragon, because of the unique appearance of its firing shaft. The unit consists of a base-tracked vehicle, a launcher, and a combat kit. Together, the machine clears the territory by creating a powerful shockwave that affects the mine detonators. The Russians announced the use of the UR-77 in Ukraine for the first time in March of 2022. During the battle for Rubizhne, one such vehicle launched a devastating projectile right into the urban landscape, with a 295-foot-long explosive charge that was seen in footage shared by news outlets all around the globe. While mine-clearing vehicles have been used in warfare since the 1910s, it wasn't until World War II that such a specialized branch of motorized devices saw its peak use. During the global conflict, the motorized vehicle was commonly attached to an infantry unit as a way to clear a path before it, helping the group reach its objectives while dodging enemy minefields in their way. Several countries further developed the concept in the post-war era and throughout the beginning of the Cold War. One such vehicle built by the Soviets during the decades-long conflict was the UR-77 Meteorit, which was inspired by the British giant Viper. As was usually the case with Soviet designs, there are conflicting reports about the start of the project's development, as well as the bureau in charge, but it is estimated to be in the late 1970s. The UR-77 mine-clearing and battlefield-breaching vehicle was based on the TOS-1 Gvozdika, a Soviet self-propelled howitzer that was famous for its participation in many conflicts, such as the Soviet-Afghan War, the Iran-Iraq War, the Russo-Georgian War, and others. Moreover, both vehicles share the same drivetrain, engine, and welded armored hull. However, one significant difference is that the turret ring was replaced by a hydraulically elevated launcher holding two missile carriers. There's also ample space in which both explosive hoses are folded down, leading to its nickname, the Snake. The crew of the UR-77 Meteorite mine-clearing vehicle, also known as Mick-Lick by the Americans, is limited to just two positions: the driver, who also doubles as a mechanic, and the commander-operator. The UR-77 Meteorite, or Meteorite, is an amphibious vehicle capable of traversing calm waters at 2.5 miles per hour and has a total weight of 34,200 pounds, more than 1,000 pounds lighter than the vehicle it's based on. With its power pack located in the front right of the hull, the 300 horsepower V8 diesel engine allows a maximum road speed of 37 miles per hour. In addition, the vehicle is armed with a launcher and two mine-clearing line charges. As a rocket is fired, it pulls the explosive line charges over a minefield, where they are detonated. Upon hitting its mark, the meteorite's line charge causes a large shockwave 20 feet wide and 295 feet tall that destroys, disables, or displaces many types of shells and mines along the area. The vehicle's primary role during an offensive operation is to keep the momentum of the armored and mechanized forces without having to worry about stepping over a landmine. The UR-77 is operated from under armor protection, with steel armor covering the crew from small arms fire and shell splinters. And although it is intended to serve near minefields, the Meteorite does not feature protection against mines. Moreover, as a lightly armored vehicle, other mechanized forces and artillery are required to provide cover from enemy attacks. After being used for some time in the Soviet Army, the existing UR-77 Meteorites were taken by the newly established Russian Army in 1992. The vehicle was initially intended to be operated near the front battle lines and was not purpose-built to participate directly in combat. However, this changed when its destructive value was noticed by ground commanders. With an outstanding blast radius of over 300 feet long by 20 feet wide, the Meteorite proved to be as much of a weapon as a counter to one. In fact, an explosion caused by the UR-77 is powerful enough to blow out an entire city street. The first known use of the Meteorite as a combat weapon was during the Second Chechen War in 1999, when the Russian armed forces launched line charges in the village of Komsomolskoye. As the Moscow Defense Brief, an English-language defense magazine, noted in a story of the Russian weapons used in Chechnya, quote, "The weight of a charge exceeds 1 ton, and the power of the explosion is such that houses in Komsomolskoye were simply wiped off from the face of the earth." Even so, there were some downsides to using such a volatile weapon, as the Russian efforts in the front would sometimes backfire. At one point during the conflict, there were 28 Russian Special Forces friendly fire incidents involving the UR-77. In addition to the First and Second Chechen Wars, the UR-77 Meteorite vehicle has also been used in the Syrian Civil War and the most important Russian battle of the 21st century as of today, the war in Ukraine. Noticing the vehicle's more considerable potential as a weapon, the Russians have effectively abandoned its mine-clearing use in the ongoing conflict in Donbas, eastern Ukraine. During the invasion of the European nation, the Meteorite has been extensively used as an offensive weapon, where its line charges have been used to wipe out entire city blocks. In the battle for the city of Rubizhne, Ukrainian fighters used the local college campus as a holdout fighting position, when the rather ordinary-looking UR-77 Meteorite vehicle launched a projectile into the center of an already devastated urban landscape. However, the attack on the college building wasn't the only known offensive use of the weaponized vehicle in Ukraine. It was also employed when Russian troops tried to take Donetsk International Airport in Mariupol. Additionally, meteorite explosions have been dropped on Ukrainian defensive lines to neutralize anti-tank guided missile squads threatening Russian tanks. According to estimates, the Russian army has lost 22 UR-77 vehicles since the start of the invasion in 2014. By 2022, the Ukrainian army had managed to capture at least 15 vehicles, either through force or abandonment by their Russian crews, and only 5 were destroyed. In addition to the Russian armed forces, the UR-77 meteorite has also been used by the Azerbaijani, Syrian, and Moldovan armies. To this day, the UR-77 is the only mine-clearing line charge, or Miklik, in service in the Russian inventory, just as it was in the former Soviet one. The vehicle has been assigned to specialized mine warfare units in independent companies that can be attached organically to larger units. Although a new generation of ground drones is expected to replace the meteorite in the future, the mine-clearing vehicle continues to play an active role in the modern Russian army, and it is expected to continue serving for years to come. Silently slicing through the Ukrainian skies, the Russian UMPK glide bombs descended from the clouds with a precision that was almost otherworldly. As they cut through the air, their sleek forms cast eerie shadows against the backdrop of conflict, each one a harbinger of impending devastation. These were no ordinary bombs. The Fab 500 M62s, often likened to the renowned American JDAM, had been transformed. Fitted with the UMPK, the Unified Gliding and Correction Module, they were now instruments of unparalleled accuracy and destruction. Equipped with range-extending kits and GPS guidance, they had become unseen, almost ghostly predators. Since their debut on the battlefield, these glide bombs had haunted Ukrainian positions, eerily defying interception. Su-34 aircraft launched the UMPK bombs from distances that keep them safe from Ukrainian batteries. Evading the first barrages, the Russian pilots swiftly penetrate enemy territory and rapidly launch their payload before turning tail and disappearing into the horizon. Moments later, the bombs reach their targets while avoiding enemy fire. They glide down, and hell breaks loose over the Ukrainian perimeter. The war in Eastern Europe between Ukraine and Russia has been raging for almost 2 years, and the end seems far away, with both sides continuing offensive and counteroffensive military operations. Russia believed the conquest of Ukraine would be a walk in the park, but their former Cold War allies were quick to prove them wrong. As a result, the Russian military was forced to employ all their equipment and manpower to bolster its combat effectiveness. This included using outdated weapons, bombs, ground vehicles, and aircraft. Additionally, Russia began employing new bomb and missile configurations to cause maximum damage against the enemy. Recently, the Russian Ministry of Defense released official footage showcasing the powerful Su-34 fullback bombers of the Russian Air Force undergoing preparations for combat sorties while fitted with modified Fab 500 M62 bombs with a unique kit featuring pop-out wings. Also known as the Russian glide bomb and the Russian JDAM, or Joint Direct Attack Munition, this bomb is enhanced with the UMPK, a Unified Gliding and Correction Module. This Russian bomb represents a fusion of wings and guidance, transforming a regular bomb into a lethal precision tool. Employed by the Russian armed forces, these modified bombs redefine aerial warfare, allowing strikes on Ukrainian military assets from safer distances and evading the threat posed by Ukrainian air defense systems. While comparisons to the American JDAM have limitations, this integration makes a pivotal advancement for the Kremlin's military, granting Russian aerospace forces an upper hand in the ongoing conflict, and posing a substantial challenge to Ukrainian defense strategies. Though social media previously hinted at these bombs, their official unveiling through recent footage confirmed their existence and use in combat against enemy troops. Ukrainian military assessments revealed the UMPK-equipped Su-24 and Su-34 aircraft enabled them to make precise engagements up to 50 kilometers away. These winged upgrades provide Russian aircraft with impressive range and accuracy, allowing them to strike crucial targets from a safer distance and reshape the ongoing conflict's battlefield dynamics to avoid unnecessary pilot and aircraft casualties. The first details about the Russian JDAM emerged in January 2023, when leaks were shared on the well-known Russian fighter bomber Telegram channel. Weeks later, that same channel detailed that the military had been producing UMPK standoff bomb kits for over 4 months to deploy several hundred of them for immediate use in Ukraine. On April 4, 2023, Yuri Lenat, a Ukrainian Air Force spokesperson, issued an official statement stating the Russian Air Force had been dropping over 20 gliding bombs daily. He mentioned, quote, "They launched them from Su-35 flanker and Su-34 fullback aircraft, which do not enter our air defense zone. They're almost impossible to shoot down." Russia's acknowledgement of these bombs in a May 8, 2023 press release confirmed their use in targeting foreign mercenaries near Kharkiv's Ivanivka village using Su-34 fighter bombers equipped with UMPK modules. While the air attacks continue to escalate, Ukraine has been asking the West for more anti-aircraft and anti-air support assets to fend off the enemy attacks. Otherwise, this new Russian weapon will continue pummeling Ukrainian positions at will. The Joint Direct Attack Munition, or JDAM, is a guidance kit designed to transform conventional unguided bombs into precision-guided munitions. Developed by the United States in the 1990s, the JDAM utilizes GPS guidance technology, enabling accurate targeting and engagement of enemy structures, vehicles, or personnel. It consists of an inertial guidance system and GPS receiver attached to various bombs, such as the Mark 84, Mark 83, and Mark 82. The JDAM's integration enhances the accuracy of these bombs, enabling precise strikes from a safe distance, reducing collateral damage, and enhancing mission effectiveness for military operations. This technology has been pivotal in modern warfare, providing Allied forces with a cost-effective, accurate, and versatile weapon system that reduces friendly and civilian casualties with accurate and precise shots. The latest version of the American JDAM includes an extended-range version with additional wings, recently supplied by the United States to the Ukrainian ground forces. The concept of a Russian JDAM program to develop a low-cost kit converting an iron bomb into a guided munition dates back to the late 1990s. Russia's first attempt at producing a national JDAM was presented for the first time at the Farnborough Air Show in England in 2002. During these years, Basalt Company, or Basalt State Research and Production Enterprise, developed 4 types of MPK modules for the Fab 500 M62 bomb. The basic MPK Unified Gliding and Correction module featured a wingspan stretching up to 6.5 feet to augment range instead of precision. Without guidance, this aerodynamically stabilized bomb employed unfolding wings designed to cover distances between 3.7 to 5 miles and deployed from low altitudes, roughly 164 to 328 feet above ground. Moving to the second version, enhancements included incorporating a basic inertial navigation system, or INS, significantly increasing accuracy and extending the range to approximately 7.5 to 9.3 miles, providing a more targeted strike capability. The third evolution introduced a sophisticated upgrade coupling the INS with a satellite navigation receiver for precision adjustments. This fusion achieved striking accuracy within 33 feet, enabling successful deployments from 25 to 37 miles at higher altitudes. Finally, at its most advanced iteration, the fourth MPK variant contemplated the integration of a pulse jet engine, revolutionizing its capabilities to reach staggering distances from 50 to 62 miles. Throughout the years, Russia unveiled these variants at different exhibitions around the globe, but none ever made it into production. Russia's incomplete Basalt MPK project raised intriguing questions about why it was left in limbo in the arms market. One plausible reason was that Russia did not anticipate prolonged conflicts requiring large numbers of cost-effective weaponry. Additionally, there may have been a lack of interest in manufacturing budget-friendly kits when there was potential for greater profit from expensive guided bombs. Basalt's approach seemed inspired by a desire to match the capabilities of the United States Air Force. Another reason is the design of the Russian JDAM. While the guidance unit can replace the tail section in their American counterpart, Russian general-purpose bombs are solid, welded structures, and the tail cannot be removed with a guidance unit. The Russian model operates as an independent flying device to which a bomb is attached. However, there is a benefit. This method allows the module to be affixed directly to the bomb by operational units, offering flexibility without requiring specialized repair or production facilities, as required by the US JDAM system. The Fab 500 M62 is a high-explosive bomb renowned for its destructive power and widespread use. It weighs over 500 kilograms and is equipped with a powerful explosive filler, making it highly effective against various targets, including fortified structures, armored vehicles, and industrial facilities. Its design incorporates a streamlined body with a distinctive nose cone, enhancing its aerodynamic properties for precise targeting. The bomb's impact is intensified by its capacity for airburst and ground impact detonators, inflicting devastating damage over a specific area. The Fab 500 M62 has remained a staple in the Russian military arsenal due to its robustness, versatility, and ability to deliver a substantial explosive payload with remarkable precision and impact. The bomb proved its worth during the war in Afghanistan during the 1980s. It was also used during the Syrian civil war, and more importantly, Ukraine, since the invasion in February 2022. The most detailed video of the Russian JDAM surfaced in late July 2023. It shows a Russian fighter launching glide bombs fitted with range-extending wing kits. The 5-second footage published by the Fighter Bomber Telegram channel is filmed from the cockpit of an Su-34 fallback tactical jet. It takes a clear look at the Fab 500 M62 bomb. The wing kit associated with the glide bomb seems to comprise dual pop-out main wings and paired horizontal stabilizers attached to an elongated metal assembly secured to a 500-kilogram general-purpose high-explosive bomb. The construction of these wing kits appeared rather rudimentary, though there could have been subsequent attempts to enhance their design. Overall, this approach to weaponry appears focused on swift, cost-effective production, favoring quantity over quality, typical of the Russian arms industry. This characteristic highlights Russia's challenges in acquiring purpose-built precision-guided munitions for long-range targeting. Nonetheless, the Russian military is increasingly employing its JDAM glide bombs with great effect against Ukrainian positions at the front. As the situation escalates, Ukraine will be in dire need of more short-range air defense systems, or SHORADs, to fend off the Russian air forces, battering strongholds and other locations. Russia is one of the top 3 countries with the largest nuclear arsenal. However, it has struggled to catch up with America's latest ICBM technologies during the last decade. But all that is about to change with the nation's latest addition to its vast arsenal, the state-of-the-art Satan II or Sarmat bomb. Inside sources have claimed that this still unseen nuclear asset can carry up to 15 large warheads, 16 smaller ones, and a combination of countermeasures or hypersonic boost glide vehicles that can rain havoc across a region the size of France. The Russian Federation has repeatedly said to the media that there is no effective counter to Sarmat. Still, the US has strangely dismissed the bomb, with many wondering if that will eventually prove a huge mistake. In December of 2020, American journalist Peter Sukhu published an article that read, quote, "To the casual observer, it might appear as if Moscow is preparing for war, as the Russian Federation's Ministry of Defense announced it will not be scaling back combat training of the Russian military in 2021, and instead will maintain a level of intensity for combat training in the new year." At the time, the world was in the middle of the COVID pandemic, when suspensions and lockdowns were the day's order. Still, Defense Minister Army General Sergei Shoigu said the military would conduct more than 4,800 drills by late 2021. During an interview with the Russian agency TASS, Shoigu also specified that over 2,500 training facilities and more than 30,000 pieces of hardware and equipment had been repaired and adapted adequately for the rigorous training exercises. Besides the ground activities, General Shoigu also told TASS that there would be more naval drills at the Black, Barents, and Baltic Seas. Then, on February 24, 2022, the Russian armed forces invaded Ukraine. As tensions quickly escalated between NATO and the Russian Federation, President Vladimir Putin made it clear that any foreign intervention would be seen as a direct threat by Russia, and the country would react accordingly. 1 month later, Putin threatened to use his nuclear arsenal against any nation that dared to support his enemies. Although Putin's threats about his country's nuclear capabilities were not specific about the type of weaponry he was allegedly willing to use, numerous theories suddenly took hold of social media, with several sources claiming to have access to classified information about the Russian RS-28 Sarmat, or Satan II intercontinental ballistic missile. Such sources stated that the liquid-fueled nuclear missile could destroy every breathing being in the world. But many experts quickly rejected the claims. First, military analysts claim that Satan II does exist, but also that it has been in development since the 2000s, with no end date in sight. Second, experts such as Professor Malcolm Chalmers from the Royal United Services Institute, who specializes in British security and defense, told Reuters that such claims, quote, are sometimes made as a result of wider climate change consequences, such as a nuclear winter. This should not be ruled out, but would at a minimum require hundreds of warheads, not a single missile. However, the professor added that Satan II should not be taken lightly. Although the missile makes no significant difference to Russia's already impressive arsenal, he said that from what little is known about it, the weapon has the required capabilities to destroy areas as large as France or Texas. This last detail comes from a report published in 2016 by Russian news agency Sputnik News that stated that Satan II carries over 10 to 15 warheads that can be deployed with pinpoint accuracy over a specific area. Satan II, officially RS-28 Sarmat, was named after the nomadic Sarmatian tribes that dwelled in the territories that comprise Russia, Kazakhstan, and Ukraine centuries before Christ. Its development can be traced back to the early 2000s, when Russia sought to find a replacement for the aging SS-18 Satan ICBM, which has an impressive range of over 10,000 kilometers. However, it has a dated missile design, which was initially introduced in 1970 and last modified in 1980. Enter Satan II, which has a more considerable range of over 18,000 kilometers. The Russian military awarded production contracts to Makayev Design Bureau and NPO MASH in early 2011, who then presented the first concept design by July. The first prototype was finished in late 2015, which is when the military officers announced the missile would be completed by 2020. It is also known that in August of 2016, Russia successfully tested Sarmat's first stage PDU-99 engine. A year later, the military conducted the first silo ejection of the Sarmat, which had a failure related to the launch system. Still, subsequent tests proved successful during March and May of 2018, but that did not prevent the program from lagging behind the expected delivery schedule. The Russian army was supposed to receive over 50 missiles by December of 2018, but the delivery of the RS-28 ICBMs was pushed to late 2021 or early 2022. And during a December 2020 interview with TASS, Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu said, quote, "At present, defense industry enterprises continue to get ready for stage flight trials of the Sarmat ICBM system. It is scheduled to enter combat duty in 2022. Shoigu remarked that the Sarmat ICBM would enter service with Russia's Strategic Missile Forces, or RVSN, once production lines were modernized to carry out the task. In a subsequent press release from early 2021, Deputy Defense Minister Yuri Borisov told reporters that Satan II is something unique the United States lacks. He also added that Satan II is over 35.3 meters long, 3 meters in diameter, and has a weight of over 220 tons. The Russian military is also working on the Avangard glide vehicle, which is scheduled to debut along with the Satan II. In December of 2021, details began to leak about the concentration of Russian troops near the Ukrainian government. Colonel General Sergei Karakayev stated that Satan II was about to replace the heavy-class silo-based Voyevoda missile systems to continue the modernization of Russia's arsenal. Then, in April of 2022, President Putin announced during a TV address that the first RS-28 Sarmat had been thoroughly tested with great success. He remarked that, quote, "This truly unique weapon will strengthen the combat potential of our armed forces, reliably ensure Russia's security in the face of external threats, and will provide food for thought to those who, in the heat of frenzied aggressive rhetoric, try to threaten our country." Despite Putin's threats, Pentagon Press Secretary John Kirby stated that Satan II's test launch was, quote, "not deemed to be a threat to the United States or its allies. Russia properly notified the United States under its New START treaty obligations that it planned to test this ICBM. Such testing is routine and was not a surprise." Additionally, the Pentagon assured that the American people should not feel threatened because the Army is fully prepared to counter Russia's latest missile development. Still, as the war with Ukraine rages on, Putin and his cabinet have turned more aggressive. In June of 2022, Putin again stated that the first 50 Sarmats would be delivered by the end of the year. Dmitry Rogozin, head of Russia's state space agency Roscosmos, told the press, quote, "I suggest that aggressors speak to us more politely." The threat came on the heels of Finland announcing that it was planning to join NATO. But for the time being, it is a matter of waiting to see if the secret weapon surfaces after the many delays it has had.